Welcome to the Jill on Money podcast. It is Wednesday, October 13th. And Mark, my Wednesdays are always a lot of fun because we do lots of recording, but I usually kind of have this open afternoon where I can walk the dogs on a nice long walk. So I love Wednesdays. What's your opinion on a Wednesday? So you have like your end of the week is better also. We are a front load kind of organization here at Jill on Money. We pack a lot of stuff in. Basically, Monday, Tuesday, half of Wednesday, that's a big chunk of time and energy for me. And if I happen to have to go on TV, so be it. It's all right. That's always easier for me than doing like my real work, my writing work. I have been waking up at 4:00 in the morning to work on the book. What do you think? You think that this is maybe a little crazy making? What's your opinion of that, Mark? Well, I feel like if I'm going to get up and get this stuff done, I really want to do it at a time when I'm not distracted. And that's a perfect time. Oh no, I've been waking up before the alarm because my alarm is usually set at 5:30 just in case. But I've been waking up around 4:15. Yeah, it's crazy. But I got a lot done today. But I crash in the afternoon, completely crash. Yeah, I've been binging a fun show that I haven't talked to you about because in the afternoon I watch it. I have to go back and watch it basically twice because I always fall asleep at around 4:00 in the afternoon while I'm watching it. It's on Showtime. It's called City on a Hill. And it's about like these Kevin Bacon plays this FBI agent in Boston. It's sort of Boston in the 90s. It's kind of fun. Sort of like it's a little bit of a ripoff of a variety of movies, like, sort of like The Departed, kind of, sort of. But anyway, I enjoy it very much. I would check it out if I were you, although you have no time, right? I know. I'm sorry. Well, you got to get through Ted Lasso. That's what you got to get through. All right. This is not a entertainment podcast, but it could be, and we are entertaining. But we're here to answer your financial questions. If you have one, why don't you go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the contact button, and we'll get your note. So all you have to do is that, jillonmoney.com, and you might as well bookmark it because you're going to get back to it. You really are. Okay, good. All right. Today we are talking to Edward. He is from Mississippi. I believe we've had other folks on the show from Mississippi. Edward claims he doesn't have a bad accent. Everybody, not a bad is it a bad accent? A pronounced accent. But now let's see for ourselves. Edward, welcome to the program.
Hello, Jill and Mark. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Okay, so what brings you to us, sir?
Well, so my wife is a railroader, so she has railroad retirement. For those of y'all who don't know much about railroad retirement, my wife does not pay into Social Security. She pays into railroad retirement, which has two tiers. And tier one is similar to Social Security. It's based off the same rules. And then tier two is more like a pension, and it's based off years of service, and it's based off the 5 best years of her compensation, on average of her 5 best years. So basically, at retirement, when we get to 30 years, she'll make about what she's making now. So,
Whoa, really?
yeah, and then
wow. How much is that, by the way?
so she's right at about 104,000 per year.
Mm-hmm.
And then as her spouse, another perk of rural retirement is that I also get about 50% of that in addition to that amount. So
wait a second. She gets her 104 and you get half of that. So together you're making like 150 grand a year at retirement?
that is what we've been told, and that's what we're planning on. So I make around 92,000. So in retirement, we'll be pretty close to having the same standard of living we have now while we're working. So
yeah, come on. What does she do working for as part of the railroad system? Is she like a conductor? Does she like drive the train?
No, she's actually coordinator over like the intermodal portion of the business. So the trucks, the rail, the containers coming on rail, and she kind of manages that.
How old are you guys?
We both turned 54 recently.
And when do you think she'll really call it quits?
Well, when we get to that magic 30 years, which is going to be in 2030, we'll both be 62 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And we would both retire today if we could, but we're trying to hold on to that to get through this these next nine, a little less than 9 years.
Oh, come on, man. If I knew that I had $156,000 a year waiting for me, I would be able to grit it out because many people are gritting it out and they got bupkis on the other side of that. So let me ask you a couple more questions. So you're making money, she's making money, and you're going to get this amazing pension and be able to pay for everything. What other money have you guys saved up?
Okay, so currently in our traditional 401ks, we have about 800,000.
Oh my God.
And we also have about 250,000 in 401ks from previous jobs that we're just letting them sit there,
Mm-hmm.
not contributing any more to those, obviously. We have about 90,000 in a stock program at her work. They will match up to about 35% up to 7% of what she puts in the stock. So we're taking advantage of that also.
Okay.
And we kind of use that as our emergency fund, backup fund. If there's stuff we need, we'll take money out of that fund.
So you mean you sell the stock and then you pay the tax and then you got the money you need?
Correct.
I
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
And then we have about 55,000 in the Roth fund that we're going to use for our daughter's college fund.
Mm.
And I have about 10K in stocks, crypto that I kind of play with just for fun. The one thing that we're not very good about right now is that our savings is probably only about eight to 10,000. So we don't
Because
have.
you don't feel like, because you feel like, if I need it, I'll take it out of the stock.
Correct. Yep. Yep. We have our home. We have the value. It's probably a value around 450 to 500. We owe about 200 grand on it, and we are should have that paid off within about 3 years after retirement.
Okay, quick question for you. You mentioned a daughter. How old is how old is she right now?
Just turned 13.
And is that your only child? Or do you have others?
I have two older boys, but they've both been launched.
What do you mean two older boys? Is this your second marriage?
It is, yes.
See how I suss that out, Mark? See that? And but they're launched, no, you don't have to pay alimony or anything like that. That's all done, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you currently maxing out your 401k?
We are putting in the maximum that their companies will match. My
Mm-hmm.
wife was putting about 10% in, but we kind of lowered that down just to have a little bit more cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So we're maintaining. I felt like our 401ks are in decent shape,
Yeah,
and
they're great.
considering we're not going to be relying on that to live off of. I felt like
I agree. I mean, you got $1 million in retirement already. And it's a weird thing though, because like you got a lot of money and your taxes are going to be not great at retirement, because you're just going to have a lot of money that's taxable income. That's just the way it is. So when you have this railroad retirement and you receive half of hers, right? Does
Mhm.
that mean you're precluded from claiming your own Social Security?
Yeah. So when they calculate mine, they take into account what I would have gotten in Social
Yeah.
Security, and so you can't double dip.
Okay, too bad. Does she love this company stock or like I need to understand a little bit about that because I sort of feel like let's just liquidate some of that, take the money off the table. I could be down with keeping a little bit more money in a slush fund and not rely. I don't know. How is the stock doing?
It's doing pretty well, actually. In the last probably about 3 months ago, it hit or maybe even a month ago, it hit an all time high. So
All right, I don't want to go nuts on this because you really are in fine shape. You're not in fine shape. You're in amazing shape. But what I guess I'm worried about is that because you don't have an emergency reserve and nothing is really liquid and everything has a tax liability associated with it, right? Because it's
mhm,
retirement money.
mhm.
I wouldn't mind having some money set aside and just have it taxed and not worry, especially with like the daughter's college and all that. Like, I don't know. I feel like it would be nice to have some money that's already been taxed that it's been taxed.
Okay.
So I'm kind of inclined to do that. The idea about the Roth versus, say, a 529 plan, was that just happenstance or was there a thought to it?
We had this Roth that she had from when she was in college, and it just continued to grow, and it was just sitting there, and again, we didn't feel like we were going to need that money for
Mm,
our retirement. So we
yeah.
said, well, instead of taking more cash flow out to put into a 529, why don't we just earmark that for that.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about whatever else is on your mind. Like, is there any other asset that we should be paying attention to in this scenario?
Now, I think that's it on the asset side. So I guess my real question for writing in was, so she's a little concerned about, the gap between 62 and a half until we get to Medicare. So, and I know that, the insurance, private insurance is going to be pretty high, but I think we'll be able to use Cobra for 18 months of that.
Definitely.
So that will help with that. But I just wanted to get some feedback on whether she's a little concerned, but I think we're okay because of the fact that rural retirement is so good, and we're not really relying on any other of our retirement funds. I kind of calculated, just not knowing anything else about it, but just throwing a number out there, that
Yeah.
we're probably looking at 1,500 to 2,000 a month for private insurance for that for that short period of time. But I think we can afford it.
You totally can. I mean, you're right. You would get Cobra, which you have to pay for, right? So,
Right.
but let's say it's 62 and a half, that gets you to 64. It means you need one more year. So even if it were 2000, right? If it's an extra 25 grand, you can do that. But I tell you what, it does argue for having a bigger slush fund as you approach retirement. So
Right.
one thing I would tell you is that if you're in a hurry to pay down your house, don't be. What's the mortgage rate on the 200,000 outstanding?
I think 2.75.
Oh my God. Is it a 15-year or a 30-year?
It's a 15.
Okay. I think you can pay it down, but don't kill yourself to pay it down by the time you are retired. Like it won't matter. But what will matter is having a nice chunk of money that's available for you. Usually, when we say you're going to retire, right? We say, you should have a year of living expenses in the bank. But you might want a little bit more than that, just so that you have like a little extra money for the cost of insurance. But and you can afford to, because as you said, you've got so much money in retirement. You're going to get clobbered because you're going to have to take all this money out of your retirement account. And I don't want you to worry one little bit about it, because you have plenty of money and you're going to pay your taxes, and you're not going to worry about it, Edward from Mississippi. I'll tell you why, because who cares? You got all the money you're going to need to live on. You got these two other kids, you get your daughter through college, you're going to get through your retirement. It's going to be fantastic. Truly, truly. There's nothing bad that is in this scenario at all.
All
So
right. Sounds good.
someone is going to say to you, like, "Oh, I think that we should try to limit your tax liability by doing something dumb, like buying an annuity." Don't do it. Don't do it. You've got great assets right now. You keep it simple, and you pay your taxes, and you move on. Okay?
Let me ask you one more quick question. Do you
Sure.
think there's any need for us to invest in a financial planner? I mean, I've looked into trying to find some that specialize in railroad retirement, but they always want, a minimum amount that you have to invest and take a
Mm.
percentage. And I'm not interested in doing something like that. But do you feel like we even need that?
Not to be daft, as the British say, but you're in really good shape. And, I don't really see what value someone is going to bring to the table. You seem comfortable managing your own money. You don't have a sense that, like, I've got to protect myself from myself, right? You
Right.
don't. Okay. You don't really have to worry about anything cash flow wise, because you're going to have this money coming in. Maybe as you are approaching retirement, you want somebody to double check something. You can pay someone by the hour for that. You're in such good shape. I'm not really sure what that advisor would bring to the table and why you would need it. Like, you don't have something complicated going on. You're going to have to take the money. You're going to just remember this kind of an easy rule of thumb when you are managing your own money, so you don't run into a problem. Whatever I need in the next year is going to be in cash, and then some, just a little bit extra. That's it. That's all you really need to think about. So if there's something weird going on and you think you're going to have to do something in the house, whatever, make sure that money is freed up, and then you will not make a mistake at the wrong time. That's like kind of half the battle, that people do that. You're not going to spend too much of your money. You should enjoy yourself, get this kid through college, and move on and enjoy your retirement. And I'm sorry you don't like your life. I mean, I guess the only thing that would happen for you is that, oh my God, your wife is going to kill me. there is a possibility that you could say like, hey, what would happen if I retired early and waited for her to retire and like just not work? Now that would be a reason to kind of run numbers like, hey, could we really make this work? Let's say I'm 54 and I say, you know what, I want to retire in 3 years. She'd kill me though, right?
Yeah, she would kill me. Actually, yeah,
Yeah. All right. So
that will not happen.
okay. But that's when, sometimes when people say, I want the opportunity to call it quits sooner, that's a good time to engage someone to come up with, like, okay, I've got this strategy that has to go from, 58 to 62, then 62 to 65, and then move, and 65 to 70 and move on. The reason why those chunks of time are, it's really about when you can qualify for Medicare, when required minimum distributions do kick in. The first part would be, anything until you can qualify for Medicare. So those are like the time horizons that we think of. But you guys are in really good shape, and I don't see really why you'd need it. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay, if you want to find a railroad worker, we'll try to find one for you. If you just have a regular old financial question, we'd love to help you out. Go to our website, JillOnMoney.com. JillOnMoney.com. Click the contact button. Don't forget to tell us if you'd be willing to come on the air. We'd really appreciate that. Okay, so do me a favor, lift someone up today. Remember, grit, growth, grace. Have some gratitude, even if you're not married to a person who gets a railroad pension. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.